This is Things You Might Not Have Heard. I am Jay Cleveland Payne, and today is Friday, July the 12th, 2024. On the docket today, 8 stories that are queued up, ready for you, for me to give to you, that you deemed as conversational based on your engagement on the day, covering topics from information, politics, events, and pop culture news. Featuring today some more Joe Biden, some extra super duper supersized Joe Biden, Shelley Duvall and Richard Simmons, and many more. We'll explain the full vetting process, how we get the information both from the news stuff, things you might not have heard, and the fun stuff, things you might ought to know, plus some extras coming forward for that one. Check out how we do this and more about us as well, our full mission at our website. This is conversationproject.com, and you can also, of course, email us whenever you feel the need to just get something off your chest, how well we're doing or how crazy the news is this day, by going to your email box, sending us an email at the conversation inbox at gmail.com. As we said, 8 stories in the queue for today. We'll give you some context on how they sort of came about. You may be surprised at the stories that were top stories for the day and how they play out. And we'll give you some context along the way for what we have going on. Now, let's get into the first story for this morning. The story that we're actually doing a bit of a swerve on. I'll tell you up front, and we'll explain on how we're covering it and why we're covering this way. But the headline we are producing for you for story number 1 is: polls show 67% of Americans say Biden should bow out of presidential race. We had 2 postings, 3 potential postings yesterday on Joe Biden. Number 1 was this one early in the day. The second one was a posting after his performance, let's call it that, at his press conference after the NATO meeting yesterday. And it was kind of surprising. It was a solo press conference, and it was meant to be about 20 minutes. It started maybe 2 hours late, at least 90 minutes late at some point in time. And it went for more than 20 minutes, about an hour. And it was a performance that was better than we've seen going forward, but not necessarily that much better. It wasn't great. It was better. Now, previous to that, at a announcement where Joe Biden actually announced that he was going to give more funding to NATO as a small package coming up. I'm sorry, more funding to Ukraine, a small package coming up. He then introduced his partner there, who was there for that, who was very happy for the gift, the president of Ukraine, the man who's going to win this thing, Donald Trump. I'm sorry, now I'm messing up. The president of Ukraine, Vladimir Putin. See, now I'm Joe Biden. He announced Putin as the president of Ukraine, which everybody sort of gasped. There was a light little golf clap going on. It's like, no, not Putin. This guy's going to beat Putin. This is Zelensky. And then in the press conference, one of the first questions was, what do you think about Kamala Harris if she takes over? And he answered a pretty good answer, that he would not have selected Vice President Trump if he didn't think that she could win and run an election, run the race, run the party. Of course, that meant to be Harris. So with 2 gaffes in the span of, 6-8 hours, 2 big gaffes in about 6-8 hours on big names that he should have figured out going forward. Basically what they're saying is, when he goes on script, he's good. When he's scatting, when he's trying to do stuff that's off prompter, that's where he loses his track. It goes from there. What supports him going away is this poll that came out a few days ago and is now being basically blasted right now. Will probably get worse after last night's performance. 67% of Americans say that Biden should bow out the race, and higher number than that, about 85% say he's just too old. 2 separate questions that should be the same, but 67% say he should definitely step down. What happens with that? That's a good, complicated question. As you can see, many people get tongue-tied with their words. I stutter. I have issues with words and pulling them out. Now, I have a script in front of me that I'm not reading, so obviously I'm riffing and messing things up. But I'm also not the president of the United States. I'm just going to let that go. Just leave that there. Move on to the next story. Headline number 2 for this morning. U.S. inflation cools again, potentially paving way for Feds to cut interest rates soon. Inflation in the United States continues to cool, with consumer prices estimated to have increased by just 0.1% from May to June. This marks the 3rd consecutive month of decline since we've been kind of really fussing over this for inflation rates, indicating that the significant price spike observed over the past 4 decades is gradually subsiding. This trend may lead to the Fed actually considering a benchmark interest rate, a cut for this, cooling the inflation as a positive gain for this one. We'll see if this happens. Obviously, every time they ask, Powell goes, nope, and keeps on moving. This time might be the chance we get some sort of cut in interest rates to keep things flowing. We heard about the passing yesterday of Shelley Duvall, as my headline says, star of The Shining in Nashville, dying at 75. To me, she will always be olive oil. Now, Shelley Duvall is a celebrity actress who was in The Shining and Nashville, passed away at the age of 75. Born in Texas, Duvall became a significant figure in the film industry with her distinctive wide-eye presence. She was a frequent collaborator with director Robert Altman and is remembered for her versatile performances across various genres. Despite her reclusive later years, dealing with some issues with diabetes, that's what she passed for, complicated from diabetes, her legacy in Hollywood remains impactful and cherished. As I said, she will always be the olive oil to Robin Williams' Popeye. And that's a movie that is, in later years may not have aged very well based on just time and what's not. But as a kid, as it's coming out as a kid, as kids today look at these movies like Garfield, things like that are, comic book movies that come out to life. That was what we had back then. And it may have been a bit more adulty than I should have taken in as a young child. But I'll remember olive oil. I'll remember Shelley Duvall. The Shining, also a great role as well. Passing away at 75 years old yesterday. That is Shelley Duvall from complications of diabetes. Also going away on her own terms, she is. This is Ellen DeGeneres. Her 27-stop farewell tour is her effective official retirement tour. Ellen DeGeneres has officially announced her retirement from show business. The comedian and former host of the Ellen DeGeneres Show declared during her stand-up tour that she is stepping away from the spotlight for good. Her talk show ended in 2022 after some weirdness where she was great and then she wasn't. She had a Netflix special a few years back that was her final performance period for that's part of her standing. And she emphasized that if you don't see her on stage in the next couple of weeks, next couple of months, you're not going to see her on stage at all. She's backing away from her professional stuff and just going to focus on just her legacy, if you will. Focus on family, focus on relaxing. She has earned it. What she's done. So if you're a fan of Ellen, catch her fast. If you're not a fan of Ellen, you won't have to catch her very much longer because you won't have Ellen to kick around for much longer anymore. The number 5 story this morning. A lawsuit has been filed in the case of teen who died after eating spicy chip as part of the online challenge. Harris Woolabaugh, a 10th grader from Worcester, Massachusetts, died after participating in the One Chip Challenge. The challenge involves eating an extremely spicy tortilla chip, which contains high concentrations of capsaicin. That's what makes pepper spicy. An autopsy revealed that Woolabaugh died from cardiopulmonary arrest caused by ingestion of the spicy chip. The medical examiner noted that Woolabaugh had a congenital heart defect, which likely contributed to his death in the setting of the consumption of the high capsaicin substance. The tragic incident has led to filing of a lawsuit against the manufacturer of the chip. Now, the chip is no longer being distributed as the One Chip Challenge. They've obviously taken that off the way, and this was obviously meant to be something that was more in jest, more in fun, and more for adults. But obviously, when you put yourself out there like this, the kids want to be involved, and this is something a lot of kids get into. I know my child, who is not even a teenager yet, does nothing but look for spicy chips because that's what the kids want. And so we have to literally fight with her to keep her from getting things that are way too spicy because she thinks she's invincible. That's what you do when you're a hot child. You think you're invincible. You think it's all fun. This is a case where the fun definitely did not come out to any point where it was of any worth because we now have the loss of a life of a teenager, all literally from eating a chip. Let's move on to the story. We have a headline number 6. U.S. signs agreement with 3 social media giants aimed at preventing distribution of synthetic drugs. The United States has signed an agreement with Meta, Snap, and X, and my copy says formerly Twitter because everybody still calls it that, to prevent the distribution of synthetic drugs. This initiative, launched in collaboration with the United Nations, aims to curb the misuse of synthetic drugs by raising awareness and increasing educational efforts both online and offline. The agreement is part of a broader effort to tackle the synthetic drug crisis, which includes distributing online drug dealings and promoting safe practices, essentially using these services to be the new Just Say No campaign and promote how to actually deal with actual drugs that people need. The initiative reflects a significant step towards leveraging the technology and global partnerships to addressing drug-related harms. Let's move on to story number 7 in this one. This is one that catches my attention as a frequent watcher of this network. I essentially am a ride or die with CNN, as they are the main source of my main feeds for news, watching it on cable. I do get peeks of other cable networks. I'm, sort of cheating with News Nation, to be honest. But here's a headline that many people were sort of seeing coming, and it's here. The story we have is from Mediaite, which actually sort of just observations of other media companies. But CNN actually had an article later in the day that basically said everything that was here, other than the sort of the staff is scary part. But the headline, the ramble, the headline is, CNN staff in a state of resignation as CEO announces revamp of network job cuts. Now, yes, the CEO announced a bevy of things changing for CNN. The staff is reportedly in resignation following. That's like resignating, not so much quitting, but just not feeling what's happening. Following the announcement by the CEO, that's Mark Thompson, about major job cuts to the network lineup, and some revamps happen as well. About 100 positions will be cut in this quick revamp, and some changes to how things are done, focusing on some things, more digital products, more, let's call it repurposing of things, and a premium paid for digital service. Something like the CNN Plus that got killed literally days after it was launched, because with the big merger, the parent company decided they didn't need another major thing. There is a CNN Max streaming service that goes along lines. It's essentially just the basic news stuff in a streaming service that's a lot less invasive, if you will, a lot less work. Everything on CNN Plus is supposed to be live and new and fresh and those things. But what we do have going on right now is panic, is worry, is things going on. If you watch CNN, if we're just a casual observer, you may see things that look different. If you watch CNN and check out other people, cheat with other news sources, you may see some of the people that they have given great celebration to leaving, moving on to their next things, popping up in other places, taking on basically similar roles they had before. Anchors who were sort of in the mid-tier, moving to a more greater tier going forward. Folks that did sort of pieces here or there, moving to places where they're doing more featured pieces and getting more prominent space and being promoted in senior roles or in special roles going forward. It's something that's interesting to see in the news business. As a person who wishes I were at a CNN doing this stuff for actual pay, it's something to see as I compare what we're doing here, what I do here, to them going forward. It is, unfortunately, what it is, and more will come from more places, more spaces in the big-time news business. And our final story in the 8 we're presenting for this Friday is a story where we tell you that heroes don't always wear capes. Here's your headline for story number 8. Woman refusing to pay 20% tip for sandwich applauded, quote, out of hand. A woman who refused to pay a 20% tip for a sandwich at Subway has been widely applauded. The incident sparked debate online about tipping practices, with many people supporting her stance. The woman argued that she shouldn't have to pay a tip, where she had to stand in line to order her food. She had to get her own drink and then clean up after herself when she was done. This highlights the ongoing discussions about tipping culture, especially in fast food and self-service establishments where traditional service interactions are minimal. Tipping is everywhere. There's a commercial out there right now for Domino's, and they're doing this by saying, hey, tipping is here and it's normal, so if you tip us $3, we'll give you $3 off your next pizza. It's a promotion to get people to buy more pizza. But essentially, everywhere you go, literally everything you see has a tip screen. Everything is there. And it's because the economy, and it is what it is. Should it be this way? It shouldn't be. We should pay people better wages, pay things more amenable to what they are, and we as people should not be so stingy about paying people better wages. The $20 minimum wage in California, which has fast food workers making more money, means a rise in price in fast food. that should happen. We should understand that. We shouldn't yell and scream. We should either deal with it or buy less fast food, and then the prices will go down and the wages will react to that one. It's, it's not really an apocalypse. It is just how economics work. Unfortunately, it is just how economics works. Let's move on to what we call our teaser story. Our teaser story is a headline that we have that we're teasing is either in the feeds, ready to go, or on its way to be posted for you to engage in. And why do we need you to engage in it? Well, the stories I gave you today, the 8 stories that we presented to you, came from stories that were posted online on our feeds, on our links on Facebook and X, formerly known as Twitter. And every 50 minutes or so, we posted a news article from various sources. And what we were looking from you is to tell us how engaging it is by literally engaging in the story. If it pops up in your feeds, that's an impression. That's a like. That means your algorithm thinks you would like that story. So it's there. If you look at the story and you hover over it and you press a little emoji face to give it a love, give it a like, give it a hate, that's an impression. That's a actual interaction. If you share it with folks, that's an interaction. If you read it, click the link to read it, not just go looking for your own, that's interaction. The higher interactions that you get from a story, the better chance we have of talking about it going forward. It's the better chance of getting it in there that makes a big deal. And sometimes these things really surprise us. Yesterday's story about the crossbow, the crossbow incident was a huge, large engagement, which we think is more internets than just folks here inside of the fan feeds here. But those stories push what we talk about. 8 stories from the top 15 of yesterday presented to you here. Now, we're going into the weekend, so for Monday, we're going to present for you 10 stories. Those 10 stories come from the top 30 stories of the weekend. We get 3 times as many stories, and essentially 3 times as many shots to look at it, almost. So you'll see what's going on, but it'll be a very tight market for Monday stories. So a big swath of stories to get to. Will this one survive the weekend? Arizona golf course worker dies after being attacked by swarm of bees. We've had some silly stories this week. We've had some tragic stories this week. We've had some stories like this one. You will decide whether this story is worthy of chatting up and worthy of chatting up at all, either for the Monday show or if it gets a lot of great response throughout the week. We do the weekly wrap up and those things like that. We'll explain that when we get to the promotion part in just a moment. But you get a chance to tell us what stories are the dealio by going to our feeds on Facebook, facebook.com/thisconversationproject, and Twitter or x.com/th_conversation. Engage in the stories and you tell us what goes into the script every single time we talk about stories here. You tell us what stories are literally conversational. We're not just going off of TV because all they talked all day in TV is Biden's press conference, Biden's gaffe with Zelensky / Putin, Biden's gaffe with Biden with Harris / Trump. 60% of people think he needs a drop. That's all they're talking about. We let you tell us what else we should talk about throughout the day. Our spotlight sponsor for this week is Hostage Tape. And Hostage Tape has done nothing but send me testimonials all week long about people who are engaging in the use of hostage tape and have found a love for this actual product. What does the product do? It shuts your mouth. That's it. It shuts your mouth. Why does it shut your mouth? Because you're a mouth breather and you need to not do that. It helps you with breathing for your health, helps you with snoring, helps you just feel better about yourself. Put a strip over your mouth, the most comfortable mouth tape in the world. It works well for you, even people with beards. And if you don't like the mouth tape thought process, or you have an issue with your beard, they have nose strips, which are almost as effective. They open your nose to wider so you can breathe better through your nose, even if it's not shutting your mouth down. If you shut your mouth, you're forced to breathe through your nose. So there's that. But if you open your nose wider, then the air you're coming through obviously helps as well. Use our affiliate link at thisisaconversationproject.com/hostage tape. This is theconversationproject.com/hostage tape and get in on the deal today because you can get in on great deals for this great product. You will use it. You will love it. You'll be very surprised and you might thank me. But using the link is thanks enough because we do get an affiliate commission for that. So go to thisisaconversationproject.com/hostage tape. Check out hostage tape today. We told you we would promote our weekend stuff. We're going to do that right now as we get to the Conversation Project's time, where we do our self-promotion here for the Conversation Project. We tell you about where we live, where the project is. That's at thisistheconversationproject.com, our online home, where you can find us in replay forms, links to the newsletter, links to where we are on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, links to other things as well. And you can enjoy how to engage with us via our sponsors, via our partnerships page. We ask for that a lot, and just being a part of the family. Today is Friday, so we're going to prepare in the next hour or so, go through the numbers for the past week and get you the story lump numbers for the week. And we'll give you what's going to be presented as the weekly wrap-up. That's the wrap-up of stories for the week. And now we've got this new thing going where we give you the top 10 stories per your pure engagement, so you know what stories you actually voted on. And alongside that, you see the top 10 stories that we actually commissioned. And right now, in a quick look, we actually talked about 8 of the top 10 stories for the past 4 days. So we'll see what happens in the mix of things today, what we picked today and what we didn't pick today, what actually you guys engaged in that may have pushed some things down in the listing. So you'll see that, plus just for context, the story that basically got no love at all this weekend. So look for that in the newsletter form, and we'll try to do some videos back in the day of that one. Still getting our feet kind of back into shape for getting things going here. So stop by our website and click on the link to enroll in our newsletter. Get on our email list so we can make sure we can contact you just in case we are lost. We're finding that some of the X things that were lost aren't so much lost, they're just in the wrong places. So some of the things make it harder to get things done. Still hard, but we're getting things done. But if we lose access to X, or we lose access to Facebook, that's one way that we engage with you. We want you to always be able to get to us via email. So sign up for our email subscription. You can even email us at the conversation inbox, gmail.com, and say you want in, and we'll send you a link to that, and we'll get you in there so you don't lose out on that. Become a partner if you deem us worthy. Follow the feeds and email us with your comments. If you don't deem us that much worthy, just be a part of the show, be a part of the program, be a part of what makes everything go around here. And now it is time to have some fun. It is time to have some fun when the buttons want to work. We get that. So we're going to do this properly this time, and we're going to actually hit the right button and do the right thing and get the actual transition going on when the buttons want to cooperate. And prepare for things you might ought to know for this day, being Friday, July the 12th, 2024. So the things you might ought to know is what we used to call the fun stuff. It is basically the fun stuff. These are things for the day, things for the day. We have birthdays, we have history lessons, we have your word for the day, things like that to kind of give you into the second show we have, if you will. Extending watch time for the most part. Let's start off with the birthdays, because birthdays are the funnest part of the fun stuff. Birthday wishes today going out to the man we're seeing right there, Richard Simmons, who is 76 years old on this July the 12th. I don't think we've seen much of Richard Simmons. Every so often, his name will pop up as in, have you seen him lately? Is he saying anything rational, anything crazy? Is he still sort of kidnapped? But we love him. We think he's still out there, still doing stuff, and we want to know and see more of him we can. Meanwhile, we believe he's 76 years old and having a great day, so we're going to hope for that and put it that way. Brock Lesnar, the wrestler, the MMA fighter, the father of a budding athlete. Check out his daughter and the record she's breaking in track and field. He is 47 years old on the day. And Topher Grace is 46 years old today. Let's talk about some history, things that happened on this July 12th, going way, way back, starting off in 1933. Congress passed the first federal minimum wage law into law. It was 33 cents per hour in 1933. Now, I'm not sure if the 33 went with 33 or what it meant, but apparently the people were getting by with paying people less than 33 cents an hour at the time, and that was a bad thing. So the first minimum wage law is out there right now. Minimum wage is sort of a iffy thing. I believe it's still national minimum wage is still $7.25 an hour just by law, but many states have raised it up to $10 or so. And of course, California, with its $20 an hour for fast food workers and very low workers, we're seeing that become issues. Let's talk about 1976. Family Feud, the original Family Feud with Richard Dawson, the guy that kissed everybody, was there, the first host of the Family Feud, happening in 1976. And in 1984, Democratic presidential candidate Walter Mondale, he chose his vice president the first time he chose his running mate to be a female. U.S. Representative Geraldine Ferraro from New York was his running mate, the first woman to run for vice president in a major party ticket. Obviously, they got blasted by that other guy. Let's go on to the next slide, which gives us our word for the day. This is a word that I say often is one of my favorite words, and it is. The word is wrath. Wrath. Yes, one of my favorite words is wrath. Wrath means, wrath is my favorite word. This is wraith. Totally butchering today. I apologize. It's Friday. An apparition of a living person supposed to portend their death. So a wraith, not a wrath, a wraith is an apparition, basically a ghost. He claimed to have seen a wraith of his grandfather standing at the foot of his bed, a sight that left him shaken and fearful for his family's future. Basically, a wraith is a spirit that shows bad things are coming. And if you get the word right, wraith is a good word. Wrath is one of my favorite words, but wraith is the word that's today. I'm not sure how you're using it in a sentence because I used it poorly myself, but do your best to try to for this day. One thing I can get hopefully better is our daily affirmation, something more positive as we come off the wraith thing. And today's affirmation is this sentence. I am proud of myself and all that I have accomplished. And I am, even if I butchered that last slide and many slides today. This affirmation boosts self-esteem. This affirmation reaffirms self-worth by acknowledging that your achievements are great and can significantly boost self-esteem and confidence, making you more resilient against negative thoughts and self-doubt. So boost your self-esteem and repeat this to yourself. I, or you, am proud of myself and all I have accomplished. This is one part to help you feel better, help you get better. And trust me, affirmations, when you're not feeling so great, you'd be surprised how well they can work. Check out more about affirmations by going to Amazon, search 100 affirmations pain, and get one of my newest books, 100 daily affirmations for positivity and confidence. Finally, celebrate good times. And today, this is something that's going to happen. Pecan Pie Day. It's pecan because a pecan is a can you pee in. There you go. Pecan Pie Day is today. So grab yourself a slice on July the 12th and celebrate National Pecan Day with us. Mix it up with ingredients such as corn syrup, pecan nuts, salt, and vanilla. Occasionally, recipes may vary with the sugar syrup and molasses or make up syrup to make it even more sticky and sweet. You can add on things like chocolate, some bourbon whiskey in some regions of the country. We're not going to do that one, but it's an interesting one. And of course, little vanilla ice cream or some whipped cream makes it all that much better. I believe there might be some Chinese in our future because the Chinese restaurant we love always has nice slices of pecan pie for dessert. Maybe in the future. What else could be in our future? Maybe some kebabs. World Kebab Day is today. If you don't want to eat pecan pie, or you do want pecan pie, have a kebab first. And it's also Etch-a-Sketch Day. That's just a random sort of thing in there, but it is. So enjoy your Etch-a-Sketch. I know they still sell them. They may not be as popular as they were back in the day when we didn't have electronic things to hold all day long, but Etch-a-Sketches are still pretty fun. At least for us old heads, they are. Let's get out of here. Let's be done. Today has been, or at least here in the show, Friday, July 12th, 2024. I'm Jay Cleveland Payne. Thank you for being a part of both things you might not have heard and things you might not know for the day. If you have some comments, questions, what's going on, email us and let us know so we can get back to you on that one. If you want to become a partner and help us out do better things and maybe help, poke me along so I can read things better than Joe Biden does on his teleprompter, go to our partnerships page at our website and see what you can do, what tier you'd like to join in on that one. Make sure you are following us on the feeds and emailing us anyway so we know what stories to get into the lineup like going there. Stay limber, hydrated, and on task for all the grand things you're to do. Love you, mean it. We're running along today, so let's get out of here. Have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. Prep for the weekend shows because they are coming. And engage in the clip videos, engage in the hot videos, engage with me, comment with me. More conversations, the better. Thank you. We'll see you around the campus.